What if the man she buried wasn't the one who died? She stood in the middle of the crowded New York street, rain pouring down like the sky itself was angry at her. Her hands trembled as she clutched the envelope, the one that changed everything. A check. A promise. A betrayal. Just sign it, Emily. His voice echoed in her head. I'll make sure you never have to worry about money again. She had chosen. And she chose money. But that night she couldn't sleep, because in her dreams she saw him, Daniel, standing by the lake, the same one where they used to meet after his night shifts at the diner. He never had much, but when he looked at her, it felt like the world stopped spinning. Now she sat in her luxury apartment, marble floors cold beneath her bare feet, staring at her reflection in the giant glass window. Outside, the city buzzed with life. Inside, silence screamed. She thought success would fill the void. It didn't, because every award, every bank notification, every champagne toast reminded her of what she sold that night, his love. 3 years passed. One headline changed everything. Local man saves 2 children from car crash, dies moments later. She froze. Daniel's name. The same eyes that once begged her to stay, now stared back at her from a news photo. Her hands shook as she touched the screen. Her world tilted. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. That night, she drove. No driver, no assistant, just her and the guilt that never left. Rain again. Always rain when it mattered. She found herself at that same lake, now quiet under the moonlight. She whispered his name, but only the wind answered. And then she saw it. A flicker. A light under the water. Her heartbeat quickened. She stepped closer, shoes sinking in the wet soil. Something metallic glimmered beneath the surface, a locket. She reached down, hands trembling, pulled it out. Inside a photo. Her and Daniel. But there was something else, a folded note sealed in plastic, his handwriting unmistakable. Emily, if you ever come back here, it means you still feel something. And if you do, then maybe love wasn't gone. Maybe it was just waiting. Her tears mixed with the rain as thunder rolled above. She pressed the locket to her heart, gasping for air. Because in that moment she realized destiny had brought her back. Not to remind her of loss, but to make her face the truth she ran from all along. And behind her, a sound. Footsteps. Slow. Familiar. She turned, her breath caught. The rain had slowed to a whisper, and the only sound was her heartbeat echoing in her chest. She turned toward the sound, her eyes wide, trying to make sense of the shadow forming near the edge of the trees. For a moment, she thought she was imagining it, grief playing tricks on her mind. But then the figure stepped forward. Tall. Broad shoulders. The same worn jacket Daniel always wore when he walked her home on cold nights. Her lips parted. Daniel? Her voice was barely a whisper, trembling, half in hope, half in disbelief. The man didn't answer. He just stood there, dripping from the rain, eyes fixed on her. Something about him, the stillness, the quiet, it was both comforting and haunting. She took a shaky step forward. Daniel, is that you? Lightning cracked across the sky, lighting up his face. It wasn't Daniel, but it was. The same eyes, the same sorrow, just older, tired. The man finally spoke, his voice deep and rough. You're Emily. Her knees almost gave out. Who are you? He hesitated, looking down at the soaked ground before answering. I'm his brother, Ethan. She blinked, trying to breathe. I didn't know he had a brother. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah. He didn't talk much about me. We weren't close for a long time. He glanced at the lake, his jaw tightening. But I knew he used to come here. Said this place reminded him of something he lost and something he couldn't forget. Her eyes filled again. I came back because I saw the news. I had to. Ethan studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. I figured you might. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small box, wrapped in an old napkin. He told me if I ever saw you again, I should give you this. She stared at it like it might vanish if she touched it. Her fingers trembled as she took it from his hand. Inside was a ring. Simple. Silver. A tiny scratch across the band, the same one she remembered from years ago, when he'd joked about buying it someday. Her tears fell onto the box. Ethan's gaze softened, but his voice stayed steady. He never stopped waiting, you know. Even when he knew you'd moved on, he still came here. Every week. The words hit her like a storm. Her chest felt heavy, like she couldn't breathe. I thought I was doing the right thing, she whispered. I thought love wasn't enough. Ethan stepped closer, the sound of rain fading around them. He used to say the same thing about you. That maybe you chose what you had to, but deep down, he believed destiny doesn't forget. She closed her eyes, clutching the ring in her fist. Her voice cracked. What do I do with that now? Ethan looked out over the lake, the reflection of the city lights trembling across the water. Maybe the question isn't what you do with it, he said quietly. Maybe it's what it's going to do with you. The wind picked up again, carrying the faintest whisper, one that sounded almost like his voice. And in that moment, she swore she could feel Daniel's presence beside her, like he'd never really left. She looked down at the ring, her fingers tightening around it, and whispered through her tears. Maybe it's not too late. But before she could lift her head, Ethan's phone buzzed in his pocket. He frowned, glanced at the screen, and froze. The color drained from his face. Emily's voice broke the silence. What is it? He looked at her, confusion, fear, and disbelief tangled in his eyes. Then, almost in a whisper, he said, It's a message from Daniel's number. Ethan's hand trembled as he held the phone. The screen glowed faintly in the rain, droplets running down its glass like tears. Emily stared at it, her breath shallow, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it. Read it, she whispered. Ethan hesitated, then unlocked the screen. One unread message. Sent just minutes ago. From Daniel's old number. He opened it. Tell her I kept my promise. The words hung between them, silent and impossible. Emily covered her mouth, stepping back as the rain began again. Harder this time, like the sky was holding the weight of her grief. That's not, she started, shaking her head, voice breaking. That's not possible. His phone it was. I know, Ethan said quietly. They said it was destroyed in the crash. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the sound of rain, wind, and the faint rippling of the lake. Then Ethan's phone buzzed again. Another message. Just 3 words. Look under the bench. They turned together, slowly, toward the old wooden bench that sat under the willow tree, the place where she and Daniel used to talk for hours about dreams that never came true. The paint had faded, the wood swollen with age, but it was still there. Emily walked toward it, her steps unsteady. Kneeling, she reached underneath. Her fingers brushed something, cold metal wrapped in plastic. She pulled it out. It was a small USB drive. Taped to it, a note in Daniel's handwriting. For Emily, when she's ready to remember. Her tears fell freely now. Ethan stood behind her, silent, giving her space. That night, she drove home in silence. No music, no noise, just the hum of the city she once thought would save her. In her apartment, she plugged the drive into her laptop. The screen flickered, then opened a single video file. Daniel appeared, smiling that familiar, gentle smile. His hair messy, his shirt creased, eyes tired but full of life. "Hey, he said softly, looking straight into the camera. "If you're watching this, I guess I'm gone." He laughed quietly. "You always said I never finished anything I started. I wanted to change that." She covered her mouth, trembling. "I wanted to tell you that I never blamed you," he continued. "You did what you thought was right. I just wish you knew. I never wanted money. I just wanted us, even if it meant nothing else." He looked down for a moment, then back up. "And if destiny ever brings you back to that lake, I'll know you still care. And that's enough for me." The video ended. Static. Silence. Emily sat there for a long time, staring at the black screen, her reflection faintly visible. She finally stood, walked to the window, and looked out at the city lights, the same city that had once made her feel invincible. She opened her hand. The ring glimmered softly in the dim light. She slipped it onto her finger, her tears finally slowing into a quiet, peaceful smile. Outside, the rain stopped. A faint beam of dawn light broke through the clouds, touching the glass. She whispered, voice barely audible, but full of love. "I kept mine too." The city stirred awake. Cars moved. Life went on. But somewhere, by a quiet lake under the willow tree, the wind carried two voices that once loved and lost, and somehow found their way back again.